All right. Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Yesterday, I completely forgot my kids had school testing, so I actually didn't get a chance to shoot a video at all. So today, we're just kind of going to go over some things. All right. The last couple days of last week, all my content was around the Retroid Pocket Classic. Now, that generated, a very interesting weekend for me. You guys know I'm very active in the comments, so I check throughout the day, see if anybody messaged. I like to respond, discuss things. Well, apparently it is blasphemous to not make a video that says, I absolutely love the Retroid Pocket Classic. It was, oh my God. People just could not understand the fact that my video wasn't like every other video out there saying, I love this thing, it's the best thing in the world. The fact that, and it also bugs me because at the end of it, I didn't even say that I hated it. I didn't say I necessarily liked it, but I didn't say I hated it either. And you know how pathetic it gets when people are nitpicking the small things. You know what I mean? They're pointing out this, and why is there flying here? Anyway, they're pointing out all these small things like, you said, your ayaneo DMG was a $300 handheld. You son of a bitch. It's a $600 handheld. That's where mine came from. This $339 price point. So when I say $300, that's because this is what my sponsor paid for it. And there's other people saying shit like, he just wants to justify his purchase of his DMG. I didn't purchase my DMG. I didn't purchase the Classic. I don't have money tied up in either of those. So with no money involved, that's just my opinion. I had another person say, that's not a real review. Yeah, it was. My assessment of that item, device, object, makes it a review. I don't have to tear it down and open it up and do all this other shit. Just how I feel about it constitutes a review. So, but I want to point out some things. When I talk about other devices, I talk about how I love my Flip DS. And I've compared that to incredibly cheap handhelds. Nobody jumped my case about the fact that that's an $800 handheld versus like a $60 handheld. No one gave a shit. It was the fact that I was talking about the Retroid Pocket Classic. Okay? For some reason, this has everybody up in arms. So, I am definitely not changing how I feel about it. No one will ever change that. I don't care all the hate messages in the world. That just fuels the fire, buddy. Bring it on. I drink that haterade up. I'm okay with it. It gives me motivation to keep going, make more content. Because if I know it pisses you off, I get enjoyment out of it, all right? I'm from that generation. So let's add more to it. You guys want some more fuel for this? I'm going to officially say, I don't really like the Classic. But that's not all. You ready? I'm going to add a whole new group to this. I also hate the Steam Deck. Oh, shit. Let's go. Everybody pile in the comments. I know, it's crazy. I had one guy go off on me because I mentioned this has a bunch of power, but it's lacking sticks. So things like the light PS2 library you can play, kind of pointless without sticks. And some guy was like, how dare you? How dare... It doesn't need sticks. I don't like sticks. Why would you want sticks? I hate sticks. Dude, just because I said it could benefit from a stick doesn't mean it's going to be remanufactured with a fucking stick. It's still the same handheld. It changes nothing. Just because I said that doesn't mean you have to go find a handheld with a stick. Because he was all like, I don't like the 40XX because it has a stick. Brr. God, you need to get a trained professional to look at that. Man, you got some problems. So I caused this whole uproar. And of course, it's the internet. So naturally, everybody's going to come out the woodwork and be shitty. Like, you have to expect that. You know what I mean? And I've gone through so many comments, fighting with people, and everybody keeps bringing up, oh, you're comparing this super expensive handheld to this really cheap one. Like, this last asshole was like, oh, he's comparing a Ferrari to a Corolla. Dude, when I compared it this way, there was no problem, even though this is half the price. Nobody said it then because this was on top, right? But because I did it the other way, it's a problem. And at the same time, nobody understood that going into it, leading up to when they were talking about this. I did a whole video on the specs of this versus the specs of the DMG, mainly focused around the screen. So I said when I get the Classic, and I was even asked that when I get the Classic, would I compare it to the DMG and the DMG screen? I said yes. So I did that. And holy shit, is that a problem. So everybody that just naturally hates the DMG because of the price is on my case because they'd rather spend $130 versus $400, $500, $600, whatever. I get that. But me saying this doesn't force you to spend that money at all. It's like everybody's seeking validation. They want to watch my video and they want me to say it's okay that you spend $130 on this. Do you need approval? Did you not get that from your parents as a kid? Is that the issue? Because I didn't either, and I don't really give a shit. So yeah, I got the big bad boy with me right here. And I do like it more. Okay? Price doesn't matter. I'm not talking about price. Okay? If this was closer to 130, had less power, and was still like this, I would like it more. If it was priced the same, had the same internals, but this was laid out like this, I'd like this more. Still, wouldn't matter to me. If this was only as powerful as the Trim UI brick, I'd like it more. I would think the touchpad was fucking pointless, but I'd still like it. So I'm not trying to validate my own purchase because I don't have a dog in that fight. You know what I mean? I have no money in this. I didn't buy this. My sponsor provided this. My sponsor provided this. My sponsor provided this. I provided this. It's like a 1-to-4 ratio in my channel. The cheap stuff is what I can afford to provide on my salary with taking care of a family and a mortgage. The expensive stuff, like my Flip DS, that was from my sponsor. I believe that was what? Like Christmas or birthday, whatever. Good friend. Anyway, so that's what that was. So no, it's not me justifying purchase of an expensive handheld. My comparison was based off of the screen specs. The fact that this has 50 more nits of brightness than this. I wanted to see the difference. Had other people telling me that it's going to be the same across the board because, you know, they're manufactured like this, so the screen should be the exact same. You are mistaken, sir. Even though they're manufactured, maybe even in the same place. Take a look at things like the MiU Flip. The gray color has an issue, whereas the others don't. The gray color is already having hinge issues because of the plastics. So even though they're manufactured in the same place, doesn't mean every one is going to be identical. Even Lego has a margin of error there. You can get Lego error pieces. They're super rare, and these things are molded. You know what I mean? They're poured into a mold, but it can happen. It's a very small percentage, especially for a company like Lego. So these pieces are very rare. But to think that it's impossible because they're all manufactured in the same spot, that, you know, one has to be the same as the other and the screen couldn't have issues and nothing could be different, makes you the dumbest fucking commenter of the weekend. Okay? I'm not going to out your name, but you got to be the dumbest fuck to ever comment on my channel. Okay? Furthermore, I will compare whatever device I want to what other device I want to compare it to. If I want to compare a Game Boy Pocket to the Classic, or the cheapest piece of shit out there to the most expensive handheld on the planet, side-by-side comparison, and talk about how the expensive one's better, I will do that. This is my channel. Nothing's going to change that. Nobody's going to come on here and tell me about my format, how I start a video talking to the community or talking to the Retro Legion and then get into the content. I'll do that if I want. I'll spend 20 minutes talking to the Retro Legion and all the viewers and spend the last 5 minutes actually talking about the handheld, if I so choose. The fact is, I'm running this channel the way I want. It's low budget, low quality, but it's exactly how I feel about things. And that shit ain't going to change no matter the comment I get. Okay? Now, I had other comments that were great, that were actual discussions. They didn't agree with my comparison, but they wanted to discuss. And that's what should be happening. That's where we should be. Don't get hung up on the price of things. I didn't say go out and buy it. I didn't cost you any money by saying I like the DMG more. It didn't change anything when I said this could probably benefit from an analog stick. Okay? If I hurt your poor little feelings by saying that, then you were watching the wrong video. You need to go somewhere else, to someone that's going to cater to your feelings and everybody else's. Go to somebody that's going to, just go along with everybody else's. They're going to wait, watch other people's video come out. Everybody's going to be like, I love this thing. And they're going to go, well, I better say I love it. I'm not that guy. Multiple times I said I will watch this channel burn. I will watch it go back down to 1 subscriber or none. I will watch it skyrocket. I don't care either way. I am not changing who I am and how I do things. In the future, I might up the video quality, but how I feel or how I do things or what I'm going to compare each handheld to or my take on each device will never change. A manufacturer couldn't change my opinion. Some random person watching this couldn't change my opinion. And some of you idiots got in the comments and were like, you should do this kind of video and format this way, and you shouldn't talk to your audience like this at the beginning and then jump way later into like actual gameplay. And then I look at you and you have like 1, maybe 2 uploads. They're scam videos. You have no subscribers. You're not running a channel. You're a viewer. Okay? You're not a creator, so don't sit there and tell me how to do shit. If you can do it better, do it yourself. It's perfectly fine. I don't care. Start your own channel. Okay? It doesn't matter to me. So, that being said, let's talk a little bit more here. This is going to be one of the last classic videos I'm going to do. Okay? I don't care for the thing. I didn't buy it, but I don't care for it. All right? I've seen other comments and other posts about how it does feel cheap to certain people. All right? If it doesn't feel cheap to you, that's fine. All right? I still think it's about $30 overpriced. I could see this sitting at $100. Okay? And I don't care how you feel about that. Let me be clear. And I'm probably going to follow up everything I say with a disclaimer like that because of all the comments I got over the weekend. Okay? I don't care whether you think it's worth $200 or $60. I feel like it's worth $100. Okay? Kick rocks if you don't like it. I feel like it's a slightly bigger trim UI. Okay? I think the screen does look good, but I think there could be a problem with this screen. And I got messaged by a bunch of people on the side who said they watched my video and they were pausing it and paying attention to the coloring on my screen. And they do think that there could be an issue with mine. Especially since over the weekend, I messed with the touch controls, like playing like Slay the Spire. Multiple times, I had issues with the touch. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you I like a handheld when it's acting stupid. Okay, when things aren't working on it. Do you expect me to get a handheld, pull it out the box, turn it on, and it just doesn't work? It cooks, and I'm going to come on here and be like, it's still great. No, I can't do that. If it sucks out the box or something's going on with it, I'm going to talk about it. And this could be just the 1 out of 1,000 that's like that. You know what I mean? And you can't say that that's kind of impossible because I had one of the first DMGs that cooked. Okay, when I started having problems and started messaging support, I was one of the first ones that had this issue. It wasn't a widely known thing at the time. So they took it in because all of a sudden it started becoming a widespread problem, and they took it in and fixed it for me. Now, if it would have just been my complaint, they probably would have told me to suck it up and deal with it. I am a small channel, okay? If you want that nice fluffy stuff, go to a bigger channel, people. Now, covering the whole it should have a stick thing. I do like the 40XX. I quite enjoy this big guy. It's big, it's comfortable. A lot of people don't like the stick. Now, you can get on Etsy and get a little stick delete kit that puts a little magnetic plate right there, like a little 3D printed plate with magnets on it, covers it up, and you can still get the little RGB lights on it. Fairly cheap. I think they're like 25 bucks for it. And a lot of people have gone that route and they've really enjoyed the 40XX after that. Honestly, the stick doesn't bother me. For some reason, I'm a fan of handhelds with one stick on them, because I generally just use the left one for the stuff I play. And it's because I can pull away and just use the stick for movement. One-handed, get good movement, and I'm happy with that. So I don't hate the stick at all, which also puts me in the category where most people are going to hate me because I said I don't mind the stick on the 40XX. I've thought about getting another 40XX and deleting the stick. That way I had kind of a version of each. Because it also wouldn't bother me if the stick was missing. It would work out the same realistically for me. I'd just use the D-pad more. And it's got a good D-pad. Alright? Now, even though I don't like this handheld, there are things to like about it. The screen does have potential. I think the internals, all the stuff they put in it, the actual power of the handheld, I still think it falls in that gray area and causes it to be just a little too expensive for what you're getting. Okay? And you can be angry because you like the $130 price point, but when you pay attention to it, I'm actually arguing for you that it should be a little bit cheaper. And you're going to be like, well, I like what's in it. Well, that's perfectly fine, man. Well, hopefully PS1 works out better for you. You know what I mean? We've been running that since the fucking V10 or what, not V10, V90, but the old Mii Pocket Go could run some PlayStation. Not all, but it could run some. I played some Breath of Fire 3 on that thing. So we've been able to do that for a long time. So getting a handheld that still is aimed towards PS1 at a $130 price point because of the screen and internals is a little much for me. Okay? I like the screen. This screen could be defective, but the fact is I'm a sucker for a good screen. I've said it 1,000 times. I just feel like something's not right with this one. So other ones with this display probably are perfect, and you know what? It was a good choice. But I think the pairing of what's inside of it caused it to be too expensive and puts it in that category where it's not really useful. Now, when I say that, I'm also talking about the 4-button model. Somebody pointed out that I'm talking about this gray area of power in this 4-button model because of its use case being like PS1. They did mention that the 6-button works out better for things like N64, Dreamcast, and whatnot, and that little bit of extra power helps. And it wasn't something I thought about in my other videos because I've said time and time again, I am not a Dreamcast or Sega Saturn fan. I don't really have a list of games I know of. I couldn't tell you any off the top of my head. There's none that I played growing up, so it's not a system I gravitate towards, you know what I mean? So when they pointed out that the 6-button and the power work better for that, that's a solid point. So if you're going into this and you do like Dreamcast and you do like Saturn, I think for the price and for your money, get the 6 gig with the 6-button layout. And it sucks that you're limited color-wise there. I hate when companies do that. But I think that's where the value is going to be, is in the 6-button and not the 4-button. Okay? Maybe that would have been different. Maybe I would like it more if it was the 6-button and actually jumped into like Dreamcast or Saturn or whatever, more Sega games. The only Sega game I can really remember playing as a kid was Toe Jam and Earl, and that game was fucking awesome. So I'm not even a Sonic fan. I do remember playing the Sonic games, but I remember like the casino level on one of the Sonic games. I thought that was cool, doing the little pinball like slot machine thing. Anyway, so officially that's my take. I don't really care for the 4-button. I don't like it. I don't like the Steam Deck. I think the 6-button's where to go with this. You know what I mean? And stop getting hung up on price when I talk about handhelds. If you're going to get hung up on price for me comparing it to a more expensive handheld, don't be a fucking hypocrite. Get angry about me comparing it to a cheaper handheld too. Defend the cheaper handheld. Be like, well, you're comparing, that's a good $40 handheld. Why are you comparing it to 1, 3, 4 times its price? Because it's the same shit going this way. Alright? But ultimately, this video was just a quick discussion of the bullshit over the weekend. And I don't really, it doesn't affect me. You know what I mean? When people put comments, you could say whatever you want, man. I am not a soft person. I don't have feelings like that. I was cracking up all week and having my wife read some of the bullshit I was getting sent. So, and some of you went straight to threatening me, and that's cool, man. Get my email address. I'll send you, you know, my actual home address. We can meet up. You can see how that's going to work out for you. Because I promise, when you run into me in person, you're going to change your mind. I'm not a little weak guy. So, anyway. And that's just for the threats I got. Okay, that's for no one else. Anybody else that was just shitty about it, I really don't care about your comments. And if you're watching this whole video, I'm not going to name it anything about a review. So this is what the video was intended to be, was me just talking about what's been going on. So I don't want to hear, this wasn't a review, because it's not. It's not a review. Okay, I'm talking about the bullshit that a company's making a YouTube channel about handhelds and disagreeing with the general public. I'm not going with the flow, and I never will, unless I generally like something that everybody else likes. Okay, I'm a fan of the Trim UI brick, so is everybody else. So I'm with them on that. But just because everybody else likes it doesn't mean I do. If you bought this, and I've told you this already in the last video, if you bought this, you spent your $130 on it, don't seek validation. Just enjoy what you have. Play on it, enjoy games on it. Who cares if I like it? Who cares if I think it needs a stick? And who cares if I like the DMG more? That's my opinion, that's my take, and everything. And I like anbernic. You guys know I side with anbernic. They always send you these nice little, like, thank you cards and shit. You know what I mean? But that's just how it is. And are some of my videos biased? Yes, they are. I've already said they are, because I know what I like. Okay? Think about this. If you look at your handhelds, if you have these four out here and you like one a lot, like this is my favorite in this lineup right here. This is number 2, this is number 3, this ain't on the list. And if you look at your handhelds, you're going to have 1 or 2 that are just your absolute favorites. And if you make a video talking about something that's like your favorite but not your favorite, you're going to sound biased in your video. Because you're going to be like, I really like this. And I do. And I'm entitled to that. That's my opinion. That's how I feel. It's my take. It's my review. My channel. Go somewhere else if you don't like it. I know most of you just are, you know, watching a couple minutes of the video, quick pit stop, say something shitty and move on because it makes you feel better about your shitty, raggedy little life. And you feel like, oh my God, look, I can upset this guy and move on. You didn't upset me. You gave me something to laugh about. So most of the comments I got that I have removed, I just thought were dumb. Like, I mean, and I mean that on the actual IQ scale. Like, these people are actually stupid, and not like just a derogatory term, but like intelligence. Like, you need to go back to school or finish school if you're still there. Like, please don't drop out. And whatever substances you're abusing in this world, you need to stop, because they're eating you up. Some of you just don't know what the hell you're talking about. All right? And it's the nature of the beast that somebody's always going to get on here and explain something that I already fucking know. Like, when people are like explaining what PPI is, like, yeah, dude, I know what it is. Like, you're not telling me anything new. And unless you're doing that in the comments just so you look good, which is probably the case. So, all right, we're about 24 minutes into this video. I got really nothing else to say, but for those of you out there that had a problem with my Retroid Pocket Classic video and stayed with the channel, cool. Yeah, I'm open to discussing things with you guys, but make it a discussion, not an attack, okay? Because honestly, I'm just going to talk shit back, and eventually I'm going to hide you from the channel, because I try to keep things positive, all right? So, and those of you that just stop by to talk shit and move on, thanks for the view, dumbass. But keep going down the road, man. Kick rocks. All right, this is the Retro Legion. Further into the week, I'll be doing some more videos, you know, probably some Let's Play stuff. We're about at the end of the handhelds that are coming in. We have a couple more that are being shipped and on the way. I don't like to really talk about what's on the way, because I like to surprise everybody with it, and that's what I'm going to stick to. But we do got some stuff that you wouldn't think I would be getting on the way, still handheld-wise. Some stuff that I completely forgot was on the way. And I got reminded the other day that this shit should be showing up anytime. So I'm excited about that. And we'll see what happens with that. A lot of it, we'll just talk about games, what we're playing, usage. Actually use these handhelds is what we should do. So, in the videos where I don't have a new handheld to showcase, we're just going to play some games. We're going to talk about our classics, our favorites, things we enjoy. So, all right, guys. That's it. I actually have to clock in and start my workday. So, I'll see you guys in the next episode.